Memories. If you grew up with the Thomas Wooden Railway from the 90s to the 2000s, chances are you had one of these, the yearbooks. Almost every year, Learning Curve and even up to Fisher-Price, they will release a yearbook showcase the new products to be released during the Thomas Wooden Railway line. I get so nostalgic over these. These were pretty much essentially the Sears Christmas catalogs that show in the toys that are coming up soon, except these were better because they would focus on Thomas Wooden Railway. Nowadays, with the advancements of the internet and how fast information can travel, the chances of yearbooks ever coming back are pretty much unlikely. But for those of us that grew up with the Wooden Railway range, these yearbooks have a special place in our hearts, and I love looking back at these things. And today, for the first time in a couple of years, I'm going to be revisiting not every yearbook, but the ones that I personally grew up with. From Yearbook 1998 all the way to Yearbook 2006. I won't be doing a deep dive on every single page because we will be here forever, but I just thought it would be fun to go back and have a little nostalgia trip down memory lane and just looking back the yearbooks that I have and just kind of talking about it, as well as rambling over some of the Thomas products that I've seen and discussed, and I just thought it would be really fun, so sit back and enjoy. Up first is 1998, and can I just say I'm already getting nostalgic vibes from looking at just the cover alone. Sadly I don't have my original copies, but thankfully most of them are preserved through like the Thomas Wiki, or the Thomas Wooden Railway Wiki, I'm sorry. They usually have most of the yearbook pages and such, so that's really cool. But yeah, just looking at this cover, like, I love the original logo with the original 90s art style. That just looks really nice, and Thomas puffing over this, I think it's the swing bridge, I forgot what it's technically called, or collapsing bridge, I forgot, but I never had that bridge growing up. But yeah, it's just looking at that, and that Thomas is just iconic right there. Oh gosh, I'm getting too nostalgic and I haven't even turned the page yet. But pretty much like whenever you open it, the first page you get into is essentially what will be later be dubbed as the Thomas Promise in later issues, where it'll talk about a little bit about Thomas the Tank Engine, but also saying like how Learning Curve will always be sure to make timeless items that will last forever, that are quality made. And yeah, I always like that. I know for some people, seeing stuff like this doesn't mean anything much nowadays, but this was always nice to see them assuring customers and parents and kids that they will always try to make the best quality products and to make sure that they last a lifetime. And yeah, I just appreciate that. But usually the first page you will see in these yearbooks is the cast of engines that'll be available. So as you can see, they have all the different engines here. So you got like the main 7 along with several others that will appear. So like here's a bunch of different characters and rolling stock. In later issues, they'll show the new rolling stock and locomotives on the first page, but they're usually a little bit later in some of the earlier issues. So the new engines introduced in 1998 would have been Mike from the Osdale Railway, Duncan, Toad, the Diesel or Bowler, the Express engines, and then the Sodor Repair Railway. And yeah, I know a lot of people really like this item here. I never had the Sodor Railway Repair. I could never really find him, and plus I think it's a little bit hard to come by to find this guy. But yeah, these were the new engines, and I will have to say Mike was always the weirdest one for me, because I read the original Railway series books as a kid, and I knew who Mike was, but yet whenever I got the Wooden Railway model, I never really connected the two. I think it was because his face was so elderly looking and his model just looked so disproportionate that I never really connected that this Mike was the same Mike from the Osdale Railway. He was just kind of like a weird inverse character, I guess for me at least. But then the other pages will show like the different tracks that are available, and you get like the variety of different tracks. Like you got double crossover tracks, you got this switch yacht track, which is insane, and this is something that I feel like got lost as the years went on with the Thomas Wooden Railway. Not just with like Thomas Wood and the the 2022 relaunch, but it felt like they weren't making as much variety of different tracks and sections and all that really could elevate your wooden railway set to newer heights. And I feel like that's something that's missed. Like, you even got these flex curve tracks, which is unique. And you know, I kind of wish there was more experimental like track designs that we could get, not just with like wooden railway, but also in like the diecast range, and even well, I don't know about the electric like Hornby and Bachmann, but you know, more unique tracks that you can experiment with different styles. And one thing that's even cool about these yearbooks is how they always encourage about expanding the layout. Like here you can expand, like you could get this freight yard expansion pack, and there was even like builder guides for like kids building wooden railway layouts and such. And as a kid, I always had a hard time building a layout because it was a bit confusing for me. I always would have my brother to help me build the biggest wooden railway layout as a kid back in the day. But yeah, it's like stuff like this just made the range so cool. And oh, okay, now we're getting to the buildings and accessories. So like we have Henry's Tunnel and Elsbridge Station and platform. Okay, that's a bit odd, but of course everyone knows this layout here. This layout is famous. This was the biggest layout ever, and it's still so incredible to look at. And there's been many people that has recreated this layout personally and shown photos on the personal social media stuff. And this layout is iconic. It's crazy to see like where everyone is going and trying to keep track of who's where and all, but it's just so cool to see. And this layout is iconic. However, I will say that there's actually one other layout that I think is really cool that sadly a lot of people kind of avoid, but that'll be later on as we go through the yearbooks. You'll see what I mean. But yeah, here they will show more different items. Like there's the sawmill. That one was really cool. I never owned it, but I do remember playing it like when it was displayed at like a store years ago. And then there's the famous mountain tunnel, one of my favorites. The lift bridge, that's another iconic one. And I love these promo images here. I know I'm gushing over the first issue, and I don't even know how long this video is gonna be, but I love promo images like this where it was on a physical set with physical mountains and grass mat. It wasn't like digitalized on a computer. No, it was a physical promo set, and I would love to have this one framed in my office space because it just looks so good with all the engines just busy, even though Toad and Oliver are connected weirdly. That's kind of weird. And then of course there's the accessory pages, so you got like sets of trees, buildings, signals, people. You got like limited edition character story packs here. Those are pretty cool. Next we will see the layouts. So you have the beginning layouts, smaller sets, then you will get to the intermediate sets like the famous A Day at the Works or Around the Barrel Loader, and then you will get to the advanced or deluxe sets. So you will get like the Roundhouse. I had that one as a kid and had memories of it, but it's not one of my personal favorite layouts looking back at. And then of course you get this 100 piece set. This is an iconic set that was sold for many years and then re-released as several other sets, which you'll see in the yearbooks. And then this page was always one of my favorites, where you get to see them listing off how to build different set layouts with your own destinations and tracks, and you have the items listed here, and then you get like a visualized map here where you see the placement of the trees, herald, and then you will get a picture of what that layout would look like on your Thomas play table or mat, depending what you had at the time. And I always liked this because not only did you get like a area view of where all the tracks and accessories would be placed, but you also get a visual presentation of what it would look like fully completed. And I always loved this because you just saw these big layouts that you could build by yourself. And I think this set here, the Coming Around the Mountain, I believe this will later be used as the basis for the Mountain Tunnel set, which is one of my all-time favorite sets, which I think gets released in the next one. But yeah, you get some of these big ones. Like, you get this one that has like Henry's Tunnel and the Soto Bay bridges. Like, this one just looks so impressive and cool. Next up is 1999. This one will feature Cranky the Crane as seen in this image right here. And so we get like the usual Thomas Promise. And then we actually started with the sets here and all that. So you get different sets. Here it is, the Mountain Tunnel set. This is my personal favorite Thomas Wooden Railway set of all time. I think this is just an incredible set. I know it's not as impressive or gargantuous and busy compared to like the Roundhouse set or even the 100-piece set, but this one here, I just love countryside settings of engines puffing, and this set incorporates that mentality perfectly with a wonderful destination, interesting set of characters, and it's just one of my all-time favorite sets. I'll have to do a video talking about this one day. This also had the infamous James Goes Buzz Buzz set. I say infamous because it's good on paper. Like, a set based on an iconic episode makes sense, and even the James was exclusive by having a heat-sensitive nose, and mine still actually works, though the nose effect has faded due to age. But also the set is just weird. Like, it's the only set that you could give Boko at the time, because Boko was discontinued, and he was only available in this set for a time. But the set itself is just weird. I may do a video talking about this. I haven't decided yet. I got too much projects I want to work on and so little time. But yeah, here's all the different engines and rolling stock, and the newcomers that are coming in are crazy. Like, you get the famous Flying Scotsman. This is an absolute beautiful Wooden Railway model. Absolutely beautiful. And then of course you got Neil, Catherine, who I thought was a diesel for the longest time, the Northwestern brake fan or Spifer brake fan, along with the sawmill log. Wait, okay. So the sawmilly log car. That's funny. And then you got the cargo car, because we don't get enough of those in the Thomas Wooden Railway set. And again, I just have to elaborate, I love the fact that the Wooden Railway had a lot of different unique track pieces, and you get this freeway parallel switch track, and you just don't see that with Thomas merch nowadays, where they had a bunch of crazy different tracks, pieces and all, that you can make your own unique set design. This is just so cool to see. And then for new destinations, we obviously got the Cranky the Crane and then the Water Tower, which I'm surprised was released pretty late. I thought it came out like in 95 or something, because it's a pretty iconic location. We also get the Stop and Go station. I had that. And the coal station. This one I never had as a kid, but I do remember playing it like in a store when they had a little display of Thomas Wooden Railway, and this is an incredible location. And it's so cool to see. They don't make destinations like this nowadays. Gosh, I'm sounding like an old man saying that. This one, the transfer table, kind of confuses me, because I get the idea where it's supposed to switch an engine on the track, but it also kind of looks like a station as well. And it's, I don't know, it was a weird location. I never had this one either. And we get to some special play scenes, which I actually like that kind of name, makes sense. Like here we have the incorporation of Cranky along with the Sodor Wash station. I forgot to mention that when we were looking at it, and it's really cool to see how they showed the layout as you build it. Like, these are just really cool layouts right here. Like, oh my goodness, I would just love to recreate a lot of these and just display them, but I have no room to display every single set. 2000 Yearbook. This one was a big one because it featured the Thomas and the Magic Railroad movies, so it had a special page dedicated to merchandise that was going to be tying into this movie. And it's kind of weird to see a Thomas Wooden Railway yearbook but not have like any Wooden Railway items feature. It features Thomas, his model from the movie, which I believe was like a brand new brass model that they made for the film, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, it's just interesting to see. This cover is obviously iconic for me and a lot of people. And the first page doesn't feature any Magic Railroad stuff, but it does feature some new stuff. This year was kind of lackluster in my opinion. Obviously we will get Trevor and Rickety, the box cars, which is cool. The hand car is a cute little item, but what's really interesting is Bertram, the old warrior with the scrap cars. Bertram is a rather interesting character, but what's really interesting is that the model that they base on is actually what Bertram was supposed to be. If I remember correctly, Bertram wasn't originally going to be reusing Duke's model. He was just going to be like a brand new tank engine. But obviously due to the budget of Season 5 being the Season 5 that it was, they just ended up repainting Duke into Bertram. But the toy actually continued on the tradition of being a tank engine, I believe. So I thought that is kind of cool. And this year we will be introduced to the Thomas Express, aka the battery powered engines. And I have to say, I never really was a fan of the battery engines. Not because I don't like the concept, I think it's kind of interesting. I just think it was kind of pointless to have an engine that you can run along, and I don't know, it just never really appealed to me. Plus the battery engines looked really ugly. I'm just gonna say that out loud. They looked ugly at the time. Like Percy here, he looks like Oliver. Does he not? He doesn't look like Percy. Like if you hide the 6, there we go. Like if you hide the 6 and you told someone that was Oliver, they will probably believe you. But again, this was like the first iteration of the battery powered engine, so obviously they had to start somewhere. But man, these designs are just, I think they were even prototypes, so they may have looked better. I'm not quite sure. If we hop over through some of these character galleries here, we will see the special page dedicated to Thomas and the Magic Railroad. So here it will show the cast of characters. I like how Diesel 10 is just referred as D10 on here. It's just, I don't know, I just find that funny. We also get the Muffle Mountain Play set. This is a really iconic set. I never really got this set, but I ended up having the gold track piece. I don't know how, because I don't have like the station or Burnett's house or even the viaduct part, but I ended up with the golden bumpy track piece. I don't know how I did that. Although what's kind of weird looking back at this, there was no advertisement for the 100-piece set that would be later revised for Thomas and the Magic Railroad. I did get that, not the table, but I did get that set. But I'm surprised it wasn't mentioned in this booklet here. That's kind of weird. Oh, and speaking of bumpy track, that's one of the new track pieces that was introduced during this year, along with Wacky Track. Ooh, it just looks like a snake, and I hate it. I hate it so much. Okay, now we're getting to some stuff like the drawbridge, which looks kind of puny in my opinion, but that's just me. We also get introduced to like the fire station, the switch tower, and corn! We all love corn! It's put in dancing corn all over the place. We all love corn. Actually, that's grain, but as a kid I thought that was corn because it looks like corn. So yeah, it just looked like that a bit, but put back the dancing corn! Yay! They're dancing everywhere! What's kind of interesting about the yearbooks is that they will sometimes advertise different products that wasn't just Wooden Railway, but would have Wooden Railway themes included, such as this Hanging Out with Thomas that had James, Thomas, and Henry, where you can like hang your coat and such, along with a little piece of track, along with this art table here that actually could fold up, and it's kind of neat. It even has like a little thing for your engine to put on, so that's kind of cool. Then of course it shows like some table storage stuff. Like I like this 3D Thomas toy locker here, that looks really nice, and the storage bench, which really nice there. They will also advertise other stuff, like obviously the VHS tapes of Thomas and the books that were coming out at the time. So that's kind of cool. And even advertised like Railway series books as well. That's neato. Also, this is just too precious here. This is an adorable image of a golden retriever holding a track. This image is just so cute. In fact, I wonder... Okay, Grover, here's a piece of track. Now go grab it. Grover, you gotta grab the track. Grab it with your teeth. Grab it with your teeth. Come on, you can do it. Just grab it with your teeth. Grab the track with your teeth. No, not the tree. This. Don't just lick it. Here, watch me. You see, girl. Yearbook 2001, and here we have some stuff going on like Thomas, Harold, Wilbur in the background, and Tiger Moth with a mullet, apparently. Obviously this was scanned from a used copy where I guess someone marked it with a pencil or something, but I could totally see Tiger Moth's pilot having a mullet or something. I don't know why, I just can. Okay, so the new vehicle section is kind of interesting. It has like a little note from Sir Topham Hatt talking about like some of the new locations are, and that's pretty cool. He's listed as the superintendent of the railroad. Kind of weird. I mean, I guess it's the same thing as controller, but never really thought of it being labeled like that. But the new characters, we have Derek and Butch, Lori Worm, and the aquarium cars. We get Rusty. Well, Rusty's not new, but he was packed with these construction vehicles. And then we had Wilbur and Frank, which is kind of interesting because at the time, the Christopher Audrey books never really made it to overseas, so for me, Frank and Wilbur were entirely new. I had no idea that they were Railway series characters. I always thought they were like original ones that was made up. That was until years later when I discovered the books and even got myself the volume collection containing most of Christopher Audrey's work and finally knew who these two were. But it was kind of interesting seeing these two and not really knowing where they came from, and I just thought they were toy exclusives, but it's kind of cool to see them there. And then of course we get back to the battery powered, and we got James, and his prototype actually doesn't look that bad. I mean, say what you want about the body looking like Thomas's, but I mean the face looks good. One thing that kind of irritated me about the battery powered engines is how the tender was just the regular James wooden tender. It wasn't like, I wasn't expecting it to be like full metal. I wasn't expecting the tender to be like full metal, but give James and the other tender engines of the battery powered range a different tender to stand out, you know, to be unique or something like that. I'm not quite sure. The big set this year is the circus set. I'm just kidding. It's the Sodor Airfield set. I had this one as a kid and it was really cool. I loved the airfield that actually flew Tiger Moth around. Kind of interesting to see Duck as the character of choice, as they both never come across each other in the television series, but it was a cool idea to have a random character be the engine of choice instead of like Percy or Thomas, as they will be in almost every set close around this point. Oh, this set was wild. The lift and load set. I never had this set, and of course I'm sure a lot of people probably didn't because it was a pretty pricey set given to how big it is and the destinations, but this was a really cool layout. And I guess I should probably also mention the bridge and tunnel set. That one gets kind of overlooked. I feel like not a lot of people really talk about the bridge and tunnel set, but this one looked really cool. I actually had most of the stuff. The only locations I'm missing is the drawbridge and then the collapse bridge over here. I don't have those two, but if I did, I could actually recreate this set myself, so that's kind of cool. This yearbook also has a character card folder where you could put your own character cards that you collect and put them in here, so that's really cool to see them to make this yearbook usable to store your character cards. I forgot how thick it was to where you could store a lot of these characters. I'm not sure. Okay, so one of the new destinations in this was the Abbey Repair Station. And apparently this was made as part of the engines, but for me, I always thought this was something for like a road vehicle. Because you got like this, I know it's kind of hard to tell with the image quality, and I apologize, but like with the image of like the oil tanker here and the water, it just looked more like a car lot or a place to repair your cars instead of an engine. It was weird to say the least. Although I have to say, I feel like there was a bit of a downgrade in terms of the track layouts where you can build your own or expand your layout. Here they just showed the layout above you and then list off the tracks, but they don't show an image of what the layout would look like. And I understand that with the page size they had to print them out, they couldn't really showcase all of them, but I feel like it would have been really cool to have an image showing what the track would look like physically and all. And I feel like this is a bit of a downgrade compared to the last couple of years, but that's just me. 2002 was a big year for the Thomas Wooden Railway. Not only was it the 10-year anniversary of the toy range, but there was also a huge redesign for not just the engines but also the track. Even the new characters and stuff that we got this year was much better compared to the last few times. Like we had Big City Engine, a really cool locomotive based on such a forgettable character. Caroline, the recycling cars, which was pretty cool. Thumper. We also have Ivor Hugh, Thomas the Winter Wonderland train. This was very cool to see Thomas with a snowplow. And George! Oh yeah, and also there's Harvey and Salty. But George is in this! I like how the whole page, like George takes up most of the pages. It's like Harvey and Salty, they're nothing. These other guys, they're nothing. It's about George the Steamroller! Everyone loves George! Jokingly aside, the George model is pretty cool, though I wish the face was kind of like the grumpy face that we're all associated with George, instead of this creepy, happy smile, but you know, that's just, you know, personal preferences. But yeah, most of the Steam team got redesigns, so from Thomas all the way to Percy, they got redesigns based on the iconic 2000s promo art, which I always have a soft spot for. I really love that kind of art style, even though some engines may look better or worse depending who you ask. Toby, I think, remained mostly the same, but I believe he got a little bit more better printing detail around the body. And of course, here we have an interesting way of displaying characters. So like you have some of the rolling stock listed up here compared to down here, which is kind of interesting to say the least. Although now you can see Lady, Diesel 10, and Splatter Dodge no longer having their own designated spot promoting like Thomas and the Magic Railroad. They're just kind of now blended in with the other engines and rolling stock, and now they're part of the Thomas team. That's kind of interesting. Maybe they have like a baseball team or something. That would be that would be so silly. I love it. It's not just Thomas through Percy and Birdie that got redesigns, but the track is no more the clickety-clack track. It is now the traction wheel track, which is more realistic. That looks more like the railroad tracks. More durable, and it's mostly has like a durable traction here because it helps the battery powered engines run better. They will also get redesigned this year as well, and I know this may sound blasphemous to some people, but I personally love the traction wheel track. I mean, I know it doesn't have the iconic clickety-clack track that we all know and love, but I just love how it looks, and also the fact that you could flip over and has road on the back, which is nice. And I just think that this track looks really nice. It's durable, and it's something that I always admired, that I love more compared to the clickety-clack design, but that's just me personally. And you will see this change being affected immediately in the newer, or in all the layouts going forward. So like iconic sets that's been for a while, like A Day at the Works or Around the Barrel, they will immediately get switched to the traction wheel track. And we will also get a brand new roundhouse redesign set that, in my opinion, looks less cluttered and more focused. It has more, trying to think of the right word here, it looks more symmetrical and easier to kind of look around compared to the wackiness of the original roundhouse set. though the characters are random. Like you got Thomas and Henry here, then you got Scarloey, Duke, and Rusty. Don't ask about how narrow gauge engines and steam engines get together. I don't know how. Also, I just realized that over in the corner, the NAFTA tunnel has the clickety-clack track here still. I think that's kind of interesting. There is one aspect about the 2002 yearbook that I admire that sadly didn't really last that long, was the road rail adventures, because as I mentioned earlier, the traction rail can actually flip over to have road track. And I thought it was a really cool idea to get the road vehicles involved, to have their own track that they could go on. It was such a really unique concept that they actually pushed for a couple of years. Like, you got destinations that had both railroad and road track on it, like the Overpass Mountain, the cargo transfer, and even locations that were specifically road, like the service station and such. Sadly, this concept didn't really last that long. I think it lasted like a few years, and then they kind of quietly silenced it after 2006. But this was a really unique idea. Like, look at the Yes Have a Race set. That is such a wonderful set that combined both road and rail perfectly to recreate the race that Thomas and Bertie had, and then the mountain overpass here, which I don't know, I always loved this as a kid, and I still find it as a cool idea that sadly just wasn't expanded on, or was kind of died out way too soon in my opinion, but maybe that's just me. Also, the battery-powered engines would get redesigns, and we would eventually get Lady in as a new character. And yeah, these battery-powered engines look way better compared to the Express models. The make-it-yourself layouts would have a redesign, showing the tracks, obviously, and have the locations of tracks here, but sadly, you don't see like any accessory pieces laying around, which is a bit of a shame because it was always fun to... Well, actually, never mind. They got the set of Flea buildings right here, but you don't get to see like trees or Bertie or Harold being like placed around. So this one I like a little bit better than the last issue, but I don't know. I still would have liked to see a physical set recreation on the bottom to show what it would have looked like. 2000 Flea. This is another good issue. I really like the cover here with Thomas and Elizabeth here, though admittedly there's some negative space. Like, it would have been nice to have like an engine on this track here. I mean, I'm fine with James puffing around here, though he's definitely kind of out of focus, which I get it, so that way Thomas and Elizabeth can be seen better. And I'm literally being a critic about a photo of a yearbook from 2000 Flea. I have lived a perfectly good life. I am not sad or depressed. Okay, so not a huge selection of new stuff that is exciting compared to last yearbook, but there were some cool new additions like Elizabeth and Bulgy, really nice. The Iron Twins, the Soda Road Crew was pretty cool. I really liked that. I actually thought as a kid when I had these scrubbing thing here that actually makes the track, it actually cleans them for some reason. I don't know why. We would get limited edition engines. I never had these, but these I would love to have in my collection of Thomas Comes to Breakfast and James Goes Buzz Buzz. Though admittedly there's a lot more B's on James than what I imagined there. And then there's the infamous Stephanie and the Museum Cars. Now I know a lot of people dislike the redesign of Stephanie, and I'm here to say it doesn't bother me. I know why some people don't like the Stephanie redesign, but the face never bothered me. I always liked it, how it looked, and yeah, I'm probably one of the few people that actually is fine with the Stephanie redesign. I never had him as a kid. I have the original Stephanie, but never the Museum Cars redesigned one, but you know, he would be fine in my collection. I would be okay with him, and I'm probably gonna get a lot of people asking, am I fine? Have I gone mad? Considering that I approve of a toy made 20 plus years ago. Again, I have no issues. Everything is fine. There's not much I want to talk about this page. I just want to stop and appreciate, like, I love images like this where they will make a physical set to display the locomotives here of the wooden railway. These images are just amazing, and I kind of wish we had more of these. That's that wasn't just built on a floor, but actually had like a physical set with realistic looking mountains and grass, trees, and all. Like, these images I missed. They need to make them come back, not just for Wooden Railway, but also for like the motorized and die-cast range. It'd be cool to have these promo images again. Some of the new sets that are in this include the famous Sodor engine wash set. I had this one as a kid and I liked it pretty well. There's also this Tidmouth Station travel set, which may not look like much, but I actually really love how it's designed, where it's a tiny set that you could take on the go with you, with a unique station. I think this is exclusive to this set if I'm not mistaken, with Thomas and a Rickety. I think that's Rickety right there. I just love the idea of it and how compact it is. Because I remember as a kid trying to transport like Wooden Railway items being a chore, but this one is small and simple. It has a really good amount of track to have your own adventures on the go, and even carry like maybe some extra engines and roller stock. This is a really cool set, and it's a shame that I never got this as a kid, but as an adult, I have money to use on bills and stuff to live off of. But one day soon, this will be mine. Okay, I have to admit, this is actually kind of cool here, of how here you have a little coloring page to color the location here, but it's also an ad for the bridges. Like, here's a panel page for the Sodor Bay Bridge, and then the small drawbridge here, which you can color, but also see that as a product you can buy. That's kind of cool. Obviously, the big location for this year is the Mr. Jolly's Chocolate Factory, which was featured in the iconic Percy's Chocolate Crunch episode. And yeah, this location was really cool. That had like water that was color dyed to spin around, and this disappears. Like, it's a really unique location. It's still one I think is one of the best destinations in the Thomas Wooden Railway, in my opinion. Again, here they're trying to connect the road vehicles here. So here you got page for like the road vehicles, and somewhat using the same promo image for from last year. And of course we get some interesting new locations, such as the fishing dock, which you can actually fish with a crane. Although, am I the only one who doesn't think these are just green colored Swedish fish candy? Now I just want Swedish fish, and I don't even care much for that candy, but I'm craving it for some reason. I know a lot of people will mention about the Boulder Mountain set, which is a pretty popular set, but I actually want to draw attention to this Sodor Rescue Team set, because it's a pretty big layout and features a really cool theming about rescuing and searching, and you know, this set would actually have been perfect to reintroduce when they had the Sodor Search and Rescue Center for Misty Island. It would have been cool to kind of brought this one back in a way. But yeah, like, obviously the road is just one little track, and there's a lot of railway tracks, so maybe an insignificant balance of road and rail, but it's pretty cool to... I think this was a really unique ideal right here. And you even got your own Thomas box right here that you can store them all in. We are now on to Yearbook 2004. I do want to mention that all these images I found on the Thomas Wooden Railway Wikia, and some have been in good quality image, but this yearbook in particular, the image quality isn't the best. I mean, it's still readable and yuckable, but it's definitely kind of more blurry and such. But this was still a cool little yearbook. One thing that's interesting, like on the corner here, as you turn, I know it's gonna be hard to see, but you can see Thomas puffing towards the camera a bit, which I think was a really nice touch there. As for the new stuff, we will get the Adventures of Percy, the Fog Car, a redesign of Annie Kleber, but also 3 tender engines, Murdoch, Emily, and Spencer. These are some of my personal favorite Wooden Railway models because they look so good. Murdoch especially I thought was like one of the most sleekest looking models that they released at the time, so it was really cool to have 3 new tender engines be released that year. And of course we will get new vehicles such as the Sodor Fire Crew and Jack and Alfie finally, which I completely forgot that the bucket was magnetized, because I don't think Will actually used it, but it was kind of interesting to see that there was a magnet in the scoops for Alfie and Jack. And then we would get another limited edition engine display of Gordon from A Better View for Gordon, and that face is just, oh my goodness, that is just a funny face right there. I don't know if you will classify this set as part of the roadway adventures since he's not a road vehicle, but I remember having this set, Harold's Mail Delivery, and it was really interesting because you had like Harold with a magnet underneath him, and then there were special Y pieces that were exclusive for this set here that was really useful for building layouts, and it's kind of weird that they never really sold them individually. At least I don't think they sold the Y pieces individually. Okay, this is going to be hard to see, but I think the next yearbook will have a better look of it. But one of the new deluxe sets is the Deluxe Sights and Sounds set. So essentially there's a lot of new locations that was released specifically this year that was sound activated. So you had the Deluxe Titmus Sheds, Cranky the Crane, Sodor Scrub and Wash, anything that produced the sounds, noises that would drive your parents insane. This was the set for you. Obviously they have to include the table not included, but yeah, it's like this set would have drove my mom and dad bonkers with the amount of sounds and all, but oh my gosh, I couldn't imagine how much this layout cost at the time. It would have been close to $300 given that the sound sets or locations was pretty high price. Speaking of sights and sounds, here it is. We got the Cranky the Crane. I actually had him, but I don't think I do anymore. He was a little bit odd looking for me. I mean, the eyes moved, I remember that, but this Cranky looks a bit buff in my opinion, but not in a good kind of way. Again, he had to be kind of wider because to store like the sound chips and all. I think it was mostly the head though. But yeah, I don't really care much for this deluxe Cranky. And yeah, there's the deluxe roundhouse, which is pretty cool, but for some reason it's reminding me of more of something from like Paw Patrol, and I don't watch that show. I never seen an episode of it, but for some reason it's giving me Paw Patrol vibes. Some of the other sound stuff includes like the Sodor Scrub and Shine, which was a roadway item. I thought that was like just an upgraded version of the Sodor engine wash, so that's kind of interesting. Oh gosh, I have to talk about this because we got the battery operated jet engine with Thomas. This was a really cool item I had. Even though I wasn't a big fan of the battery operated engines, this was one that I loved because it was a perfect way to recreate the Thomas and the Jet Engine episode. The wooden railway model had a unique face that matched Thomas's railway face mask from the show, and the jet engine, I know some people will say it doesn't look like it, but I don't care. This was a really cool toy that pushed Thomas along the track, and it was just a unique item. I absolutely love this one. Here we have some random stuff here. Like, this is called Useful Extras, which is essentially like doing like your own arts and crafts stuff. Like you got Paint and Play Thomas, so you can paint Thomas or paint the freight cars here. And this one you can paint a boxcar, a tree, and a building. This is actually really cool. I don't know how many people got it. I never got these two back in the day, but I think this is really cool and unique to have like an option to make your own painted cab or oil tanker in a way. It's really nice. I don't understand the point of these though. These Sodor blocks and destination sayings, these are just weird. I mean, I get the ideal of building your own like shed or tower like the examples up here, but these are just, I don't know, I never could quite understand this. Holy crap, we're finally on the second to last one. I know this has been a long video, and if you've been following me this whole time, I thank you for joining me, but we're almost there. This is the second to last yearbook, 2005. This one marked the 60th anniversary of the Railway series, the whole Thomas the Tank Engine franchise, and this was quite a big cover here. Like, it showed like the new engines in the background and Thomas here, and it's just a nice image. And this one advertised the fact that Thomas and Friends is back on TV with season 8. They done a whole new format for the show, and was really successful, relaunching it back in 2004 onto television. And with this being the 60th anniversary of Thomas and Friends, we got some items to celebrate it, such as the 60th anniversary of Henry, where he's painted blue like in the last image of the 3 railway engines, and then a 60th anniversary set. We had some interesting new stuff this year, like we got Fergus and Arthur as new engines. Bill and Ben got redesigns which look really good, looks way better than the original Bill and Ben. The Sodor Waterworks and Ice Delivery Cars along with the Sodor Power Crew, and then the reintroduction of Cody with apple orchard cars. I don't know why they have an apple field in the mountains, because I don't think that's possible, but still, the redesign for Cody here, he looks way better than he did the first design that they had. I was not a fan of the original Cody, but this second redesign looks really cool. I actually quite like this one. Okay, I mentioned about doing a baseball team joke earlier, and here we got like the Thomas team again, along with the text that says, "Each of Thomas's friends has an important job to do. Create your own team to get all the work done." You wouldn't like my team because it will be very disorganized, to say the least. Here's a somewhat better image of the sights and sound set. It's kind of whited out due to how it was scanned. But yeah, this set had like a lot of stuff going on, especially with the sound and all of that. Again, this would have drove parents crazy. It's like, will you please stop going through that darn tunnel every time and such. But it was kind of cool to see. And up here, I completely forgot that there was an aquarium set. This is themed to like an aquarium going on, and there was even a special storage box that had like some of the buildings designed on there. I'm not sure how hard it is to get this set, but it would be cool to have this in my collection. Here we have a map of the island of Sodor. I am not fully accurate on where everything is set. Like, for some reason the island is like abandoned. There's no like bridge to the mainland or even like a continent over for here and all that. So I have no idea how accurate this map is. It's probably inaccurate in some areas. What's kind of weird is that Thomas is like faded into the station here. I don't understand why. That was a weird kind of way. It would have been fine if Thomas was like puffing right here or here like it is like in the season 8 through 11 intro. But yeah, it's just, this map is weird. Okay, I do love like this final page here that has a bunch of 60th anniversary stuff. So like obviously they'll have like the reissue of the Reverend Audrey's collection of books in a new book style, along with other stuff that was celebrating the 60th anniversary, along with video releases that showed like dates on when they will be released. So like you have Hooray for Thomas coming out January of 2005, Sodor Celebrations of March 2005. I have to admit, the 60th anniversary was a really great celebration. That just knew how to celebrate Thomas's legacy right, or just a way to really make a celebration stand out, in my opinion. Okay, after who knows how long, we finally made it to the very last yearbook that I owned, 2006. Whew, boy, it's been forever. For this being the last yearbook that I owned as a kid, this was a way to go out. In my opinion, there was a great selection of new characters. Like, I will always be a fan of the Season 9 newbies like Molly, Dennis, Neville, and Mighty Mac. Unfortunately, they were never used that well in the show, but they looked so cool. And we got like Giggling Troublesome Trucks. We got a Sodor's collection pack of Thomas, Percy, and Diesel in different metals and such, like gold, silver, and Percy. And then Old Slow Coach, who's a personal favorite of mine, finally gets a wooden railway model after so long, as well as limited edition redesigns of Toad, Scruffy, and Oliver. I love these redesigns. Like, in my opinion, this is like the best version of Oliver. And Scruffy and Toad's redesigns look really good. They just look so good. This was a great batch of new characters and redesigns that they released. Oh yes, I remember looking at this page a lot, specifically for two sets, Renes and the Roller Coaster set, and Edward the Great set. These were two sets that I never had as a kid, and I always looked at them because they just really captured my eyes and my imagination. And funnily enough, I will finally get to own these sets years later, and I actually did videos about them if you want to check them out whenever you get a chance. But yeah, it's just really cool to kind of look at these two sets again, and now thinking that I finally own both of them. That's just kind of crazy and wild to me. So remember how when I was talking about the 1998 set that there was one other set in the yearbooks that I thought was impressive? Well, this is it. The 2006 layout. I mean, it may not be as grand and huge like the 98 set was, but this one is just crazy. Like, you got how they used the Renes and the Roller Coaster set here to make like a bridge, and then how they got the tracks connected all the way down to the floor using like stacked risers, and this is just a crazy looking set. And I kind of wish that someone would recreate this layout here with the same table and all. I don't know what location is back here. It's kind of hard to tell with the little girl there. But in my opinion, this set is really impressive, and I would love to see this recreated somehow. One of the new locations that was introduced was the collapsing Sodor suspension bridge. Obviously this was to tie in with Colonel engines, and this bridge is really cool. I have this one, and it's just an impressive destination. Speaking of, there's actually a set that was based off of Colonel engines called Storms on Sodor, that had like trees that were knocked down, sides of the barn that will like tail off and all. This is a really cool set that even has some unique characters like Percy and Alien Bird. Unfortunately, this set is really hard to come by nowadays, not just in complete, but also the buildings as well, because they're sometimes sold separately. But yeah, this was a really unique set that sadly only lasted for 1 year, if I'm not mistaken. Like, it was only sold in 2006, and then after that, it was just gone. Again, I know I mentioned this a couple of times, but I would have loved to see like a physical photo of what the layouts would look like in these instruction things here, like in the earlier yearbooks. Because it would have been cool to see what this layout would have looked like. I had like a glimpse of that up here or something. It's really cool to see. Okay, so we're on the last page of the 2006 yearbook, and I just think this is funny here. It has a whole obituary page for retired friends, aka items that were discontinued, and even shows like the years of how long they were like in the market. And it's just, I just find this hysterical in my opinion. They even got like the limited reissues of Oliver, Scruffy and Toad with the years that they were on market and the reissued year. It's just crazy to see. Like, Wilbur only sold for like 2 years, 2001 to 2002. And then you got like Henrietta, which was 1995 to 97. Like, this just feels more like an obituary list, and it's sad, but also kind of humorous. I don't know why. And that was a very long trip down memory lane, looking at the yearbooks that I grew up with as a kid. There's a lot of yearbooks, like so many. I think it was like 20 in total if I'm not mistaken, but it's just really fun going back for the ones that I grew up with and just recounting the memories and the stuff that I remember buying as a kid and stuff, and it's just really cool to revisit them. So in the comment section below, what is your favorite Thomas Wooden Railway yearbook? What fond memories do you have of looking back at them? Yes, I'll discuss it in the comment section below. Thank you guys for watching this, God bless you all, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye bye!